Imagine you're standing on the launch pad, looking at a departure date just 4 years away in 2030. You've spent decades accumulating fuel for your nest egg. But as the countdown narrows, how do you ensure your portfolio doesn't face a rough re-entry? Today, we're breaking down the ultimate 4-year checklist to transition smoothly from saving wealth to safely spending it. Are you ready?
3, 2, 1, 0, 0, and liftoff. Liftoff. Americans return to space as Discovery clears the tower.
Welcome back to Retirement Isn't Rocket Science. This is episode 18. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Mullis. I spent my first career as an astrophysicist mapping the far reaches of the cosmos with NASA's space telescopes. Now, as a certified financial planner with 21 years of experience, I help you navigate the universe of retirement. Our mission is clear: lower your taxes, strengthen your portfolio, and give you the confidence and the capacity to spend more. Buckle up. We're going to master your money and explore the mysteries of the universe along the way. In today's show, 4 years to liftoff. What is on your mission checklist for a 2030 retirement? And the power of 35. Why your career timeline dictates your retirement paycheck when it comes to Social Security. And finally, cosmic tracers, the supersonic bullets reshaping the Orion Nebula.
Space Shuttle Discovery still on its way to orbit after a successful ascent up through main engine cutoff.
Welcome to the Retirement Briefing Room. This is where we huddle up to take a close look at important aspects of your financial life, spotlight pathways of success, and think about how to integrate these into your retirement mission plan. Today, our core flight plan is built around the insights from a recent Morningstar interview featuring Christine Benz, the Director of Personal Finance and Retirement Planning for Morningstar, and the interview was conducted by Margaret Giles. Christine Benz is widely regarded as one of the most practical and authoritative voices in wealth management, specializing in sustainable decumulation and helping diligent savers navigate the critical transition into retirement. If your retirement date is 2030, you are 4 years away from liftoff. In rocket science, the final years before launch aren't about building a brand new rocket from scratch. They're about rigorous stress testing, stabilizing the systems, and calibrating the trajectory. The exact same rules apply to your wealth. Today, we're covering the 5 things you need to tackle right now to ensure a flawless transition. Let's dive into that checklist. Number 1, track and tame your real-world spending runway. Christine points out that tracking your spending is the absolute baseline starting point for any viable retirement plan. It is the raw main ingredient you need for an accurate projection. If you don't know what you're spending today, you can't accurately map out what you'll need tomorrow. Christine suggests moving away from the old paper and pencil accounting and experimenting with modern budgeting apps like Monarch Money or You Need a Budget. If apps aren't your style, she notes you can review your year-end credit card statements to see expenses grouped by major categories. Number 2 on your checklist is to secure your income floor and your safety buckets. Once you know your numbers, you have to defend them against what we all call sequence of returns risk. That's the danger of a market crash right when you begin taking withdrawals. Christine recommends establishing a bulwark of assets that you can spend from early in retirement if equities aren't cooperating. Her ballpark recommendation is to hold anywhere from 5 to 10 years worth of portfolio expenditures in a combination of cash and high quality short to intermediate term bonds. In my retirement firm, we take a similar approach, but there is one important difference. Our war chest, or retirement income runway, tends towards the lower end of Christine's range. We like to see 3 to 5 years of income outside of stocks. This sizing is appropriate with dynamical spending rules or a guardrails approach to portfolio withdrawals. Number 3 on your checklist is to evaluate the role of work and practice your transition. Retirement isn't just a math problem, it's a profound psychological shift. Christine is a huge advocate of gradually segueing into retirement if you can. Continue to earn even a small part-time income stretches out aspects of your job you enjoy, alleviates portfolio withdrawal pressures, and gives you a continued sense of purpose, identity, and mattering as you age. We focus heavily on this behavioral blind spot in my practice, warning against the retirement hell. That's the sudden onset of boredom and anxiety that hits when you instantly inherit 40 to 50 hours of free time each and every week. We guide our clients to intentionally build routines, volunteer commitments, or a social group before their employment ends so they don't face an identity crisis when they walk away from a lifetime career. Number 4 on the list is to calibrate your portfolio burden and income streams. This is about putting a finer point on your guaranteed non-portfolio income. Christine explains that you should take stock of sources like Social Security and pensions. By subtracting these guaranteed sources from your total spending number, you arrive at the actual burden or the amount you must pull from your investment portfolio. Furthermore, she notes that delaying Social Security often makes excellent sense if you have an average or long life expectancy, even if you have to tap other sources to tide you over early on. The last item on your checklist, number 5, is mastering the tax window and your healthcare bridge. Those 4 years leading up to retirement require aggressive, forward-looking tax and estate planning. Christine points out that even dedicated do-it-yourself investors should get a professional set of eyes at this juncture to evaluate tax strategies and determine which silo of assets to pull from and when. Let me expand on this by highlighting several major financial hurdles that should be considered in this 4-year window leading up to your retirement. First, the pre-Medicare healthcare bridge. If you retire by 2030 but are under 65, you must treat health insurance as a discrete, high-cost temporary expense. This might come from the ACA exchange or from a COBRA extension of your previous employer's health insurance. You need to arrange your asset locations now so you can intentionally manage your modified adjusted gross income to qualify for ACA tax subsidies later. The second item on my list is the low-income tax window. Your final working years are your peak earning years, meaning you are in a high tax bracket. I want to highlight the tax window, the low income gap between the day you stop working and the day you hit required minimum distributions or claim Social Security. Use your current runway to plan multi-year Roth conversions that you will execute the moment your wage income drops. Number 3 on my list, the 2-year IRMA look back. I want to point out a massive blind spot. Medicare premiums and IRMA surcharges are calculated based on your tax returns from 2 years prior. If you retire in 2030 at age 65, your income from 2028 directly dictates your healthcare costs. You must carefully time late career asset sales or stock option exercises to avoid crossing an IRMA cliff. And let's just define our acronyms. IRMA is the income-related monthly adjustment amount. These are higher Medicare premiums you may face depending on your income level just before and in retirement. The final item on my extra list is the legal clock. Although most of our listeners are likely super savers, some may need to insulate assets like a family home from potential long-term care or nursing home costs, but you must act early. Medicaid enforces a strict 5-year look-back period on asset transfers in most states, making the 4-year pre-retirement runway the prime time to consider establishing defensive legal guardrails. As we bring this to a close, remember, retirement planning isn't a static calculation you set and forget. It's a dynamic process of adjusting the controls as the environment changes. By tackling your spending, securing your short-term cash flow, and mapping out the upcoming tax and healthcare windows today, you aren't just crossing your fingers for 2030. You are ensuring a stable, predictable, and deeply fulfilling launch into your next great adventure. If you want to bring a professional team into your orbit today to ensure all of these variables are completely aligned before you leave the atmosphere of your career, visit retirementisn'trocketscience.com and click Work with Dr. Chris. Now, let's head over to Mission Control to answer your financial questions and get you retirement ready.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS TDRS.
Roger, nice to be in orbit.
Welcome to Ask Mission Control. This week's question comes from Henry. Henry asks, is Social Security based on my 35 highest earning years? The short answer, Henry, is a resounding yes. The Social Security Administration looks at your entire work history, but when it comes time to calculate your actual monthly benefit check, they only look at your top 35 years of earnings. But as we always say here on the show, while retirement isn't rocket science, the mechanics under the hood of these government programs do have a few moving parts. Think of your 35-year earnings history like a flight log of a long-duration space mission. Every year represents a vital data point. If you have empty spaces in that log, it alters your entire trajectory. Let's break down exactly how this calculation works and why it matters immensely for diligent savers who are approaching or navigating early retirement. Number one, the inflation smoothing factor. The government doesn't just look at what you made back in 1990 and compare it directly to what you made last year. Instead, they use a process called indexing to adjust your past earnings for inflation. This brings your historical wages up to today's dollar values so they can compare your earnings over time on an equal playing field. Once they've indexed your entire career history, they line up every single year from highest to lowest and pull out the top 35. Number two, let's look at the danger of the 0-year trap. What happens if you don't have 35 years of earnings? This is where many successful savers get tripped up, particularly those who want to cross the retirement finish line early, say at age 55 or 60. Let's look at the math. If you have only worked for 30 years, the Social Security formula doesn't just average those 30 years. The system is hard-coded to divide your total career earnings by 35 years, or specifically 420 months. So what's the impact? This means those 5 missing years are entered into the calculation as zeros. Those big fat zeros act like a gravitational pull, dragging down your average indexed monthly earnings and shrinking your eventual baseline check. Conversely, if you worked 40 years, the formula automatically discards your 5 lowest earning years. This is fantastic news because those early, lower paying jobs you had in your late teens or 20s completely disappear, replaced entirely by your peak earning years. The third aspect we want to look at is fitting the pieces into the grand design. For our listeners who built up multi-million-dollar nest eggs, Social Security isn't your main source of fuel, but it is an important inflation-protected piece of your broader income plan. Maximizing it requires looking at the whole financial chessboard. We need to think about tax management. Social Security benefits can be taxed on up to 85% of the payout, depending on your overall provisional income. If you retire early and have a gap before collecting Social Security, that may be the ultimate golden window to execute Roth conversions at historically low tax brackets. The second aspect within this dimension is the investment portfolio coordination. Should you draw down from your traditional IRAs early to allow your Social Security benefit to grow by 8% per year until age 70? Or should you preserve portfolio longevity by claiming earlier? The third subcomponent for us to think about is estate and legacy planning. For married couples, the higher earning spouse maximizing their benefit provides a crucial insurance policy for the surviving spouse, as the surviving spouse will inherit the larger of the two monthly paychecks from Social Security. So remember that very easy to understand rule of thumb here. When one spouse passes away, the larger of the two Social Security checks remains. So in diving into Henry's question, we've looked at first the inflation smoothing factor, number two, the danger of 0 years, and number three, fitting those pieces into your grand design when it comes to tax management, your investment portfolio, and your estate and legacy planning, specifically actually guarding the surviving spouse's income. So that is a lot because of all those pieces, right? Taxes, investments, government benefits, these are all deeply interconnected. A certified financial planner can build a customized, dynamic model of your specific career trajectory. They can tell you precisely how much a single extra year of consulting work might boost your lifetime benefit, or how to bridge your income gap cleanly without triggering a massive tax bill or higher Medicare premiums. Henry, thank you again for this Social Security question. That's on the surface, a simple question, but has a lot within it. So thank you for letting us open that door and explore that important question together. If you've got a retirement question that you'd like us to answer on the show, head over to retirementisn'trocketscience.com and click Ask a Question. Or even better, you can skip to the front of the line by calling Mission Control at 704-234-6550 and record your audio question. Now, let's look at cosmic bullets slicing through thick gas clouds at supersonic speeds in the famed Orion Nebula.
And Houston Discovery.
In Discovery Houston, we've got a good picture of Steve.
Imagine looking up at the winter sky and seeing the peaceful, familiar constellation of Orion. It looks static, calm, and unchanging. But deep within its core, a cosmic shooting gallery is taking place, with supersonic bullets 10 times the size of Pluto's orbit, tearing through space at a staggering 250 miles per second. Today, we look at how the universe handles massive momentum and what happens when cosmic forces collide. Welcome to the Retirement Big Picture part of our show. This is where we look up and look out to expand our appreciation and understanding of our amazing universe. A long time ago in a galaxy not far, far away, I spent nearly 2 decades studying the cosmos as an observational astrophysicist. This is a topic that I fell in love with in 7th grade and still love it dearly. So thank you for joining me in this exploration together. Today, we're setting our coordinates for one of the most famous and highly studied regions in our night sky. That is the Orion Nebula. Located roughly 1,500 light years away from us, it's a massive stellar nursery where new stars are constantly being born. But recent data from the International Gemini Observatory, alongside insights from NASA's premier space telescopes, have given us a front row seat to a jaw-dropping phenomena known as the Orion bullets. We first found these high-speed cosmic projectiles way back in 1983. Astronomers peering into the deep infrared wavelengths noticed something peculiar on the outskirts of the Orion Nebula. They found dense supersonic clumps of gas being violently ejected from deep within the nebula's core. They quickly earned the nickname Orion bullets because of the unmistakable visual patterns they leave behind. As these highly concentrated clumps of gas rifle through the surrounding neutral hydrogen cloud, they heated up intensely. This process creates distinctive tubular and cone-shaped wakes. To the eye of a powerful telescope, these wakes shine brightly like glowing tracers tracking a bullet fired across a dark room. And when I say these bullets are big, I mean astronomically big. Each individual gas bullet is roughly 10 times the size of Pluto's entire orbit around the sun. Imagine a projectile that's massive, traveling at speeds of up to 250 miles per second. That's 900,000 miles per hour. The wakes left behind these bullets are even more staggering, spanning up to a fifth of a light year in length. That's over 1 trillion miles of glowing, energized hydrogen gas tracing their paths. You might be wondering what on earth, or rather what in the cosmos, could possibly possess enough energy to shoot chunks of gas the size of solar systems out into space at supersonic speeds. The violence causing this is likely related to the recent formation of a cluster of massive stars. When these giant stars ignite, they produce incredibly powerful stellar winds and intense radiation fields. Less than 1,000 years ago, which is a mere blink of an eye in cosmic time, a violent star formation event acted like a cosmic cannon, expelling these gas clumps at very high velocities. Let's bring this back down to Earth for a moment. Can you actually go out and see this? The answer is a definitive yes and no. So the constellation is easy, right? The Orion bullets live within the constellation Orion the Hunter. And Orion is one of the most recognizable and brilliant constellations in our sky. It is beautifully visible from all across the United States, especially during the winter months. You can easily spot his iconic 3-star belt shining brightly in the night sky. I have memories of being a small child and being on road trips and having my head against the window and looking out and seeing Orion's belt. It has to be the first pattern in the sky that I could recognize as a small child. So it is easy to see and it's beautiful. So there is a big difference between our views as amateur sky watchers and professional sky watchers. If you are an amateur astronomer with a pair of good binoculars or a backyard telescope, you can easily view the Orion Nebula itself. It looks like a beautiful, ghostly, green-white smudge just below Orion's belt, in what we call his sword. However, the Orion bullets themselves are a different story. Because they are shrouded deep within the thick clouds of interstellar dust, they are completely invisible to the naked eye and backyard optical telescopes. To actually see the bullets, you'll need to have heavy artillery of professional ground-based observatories equipped with specialized technology. To capture the stunning images we have today, the Gemini North Telescope in Hawaii used its near-infrared camera, or NIRI, to peer straight through the dust. Let me tell you a little story about Gemini North. This is a massive 8-meter telescope on the summit of Mauna Kea on the Big Island of Hawaii. Now, I spent many, many years observing at that location, which is the world's best location to do astronomy. Now, I was doing my PhD with a number of telescopes, but I did not use the Gemini North because it was still under construction during my grad school years. But that's where the story comes in. We're at the world's best site, and many times over that construction phase, I had to call up the construction team that was building the Gemini North telescope to ask them to turn off the lights when they leave each day. So many times I would have to leave my observatory, go over to the Gemini North location that was being constructed, and turn the lights off. It's a fun story now, but it was frustrating back then because the time is very tight on the night sky each night, and we have a lot of work to do. So having to get out, go outside, turn off someone else's light switch in the world's best location felt a little crazy, but it's fun now. But kudos to Gemini North for keeping the lights off now that they are on the sky and taking beautiful images like the Orion bullets. Looking at these images of the Orion bullets, it's a vivid reminder of how dynamic and high velocity the universe really is. Things are constantly moving, changing shape, and generating massive momentum. And if you think about it, building a retirement nest egg has a very similar trajectory. For 30, 40, sometimes even 50 years, you are in your high energy star formation phase. You are working hard, diligently saving, and building a multi-million-dollar portfolio. You've built up incredible momentum. But just like those massive stars in Orion, that much accumulated energy creates a lot of complexity. When you have a nest egg of 2 million or 5 million or even more, the financial winds around you, like tax management, required minimum distributions, market volatility, estate planning, they all start moving fast. Suddenly you realize the strategy that got you to retirement isn't the same strategy that will get you through retirement. The universe is full of complex, fast-moving parts, but planning for your next great adventure doesn't have to feel overwhelming. You'll find the Gemini North image of the Orion bullets in this week's newsletter called The Launch. If you aren't already receiving this powerful resource each week with insights beyond what you hear on the podcast, you should sign up for it at retirementisn'trocketscience.com.
Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful.
So I have to take it up to hangar, Joe?
We're going to dust it off first.
We've spent today focused on this question. Are you ready to shift trajectories? 5 steps to take today if you plan to retire in 4 years. Now, it's time to open the hatch. This is your spacewalk. You're stepping out of the routine and into the bright light to overlay today's insights on your plans to worry less and retire more. This isn't just a stroll. This is where the work gets done. To move from theory to better real-world outcomes, here are your next mission objectives. Number 1, audit your baseline trajectory. Spend the next month using a budgeting app or reviewing the last 12 months of credit card statements to isolate your true base grade life spending number. Number 2, calculate your portfolio burden. Deduct your projected guaranteed non-portfolio income streams like Social Security and pensions. Deduct them from your baseline spending to figure out the exact annual distribution stress on your investments. Number 3, map your healthcare and tax timelines. If you plan to retire before age 65, model your pre-Medicare insurance costs, analyze your exposure to the 2-year IRMA look back, and draft a multi-year Roth conversion schedule. And finally, log into your personal account at ssa.gov and download your full earnings statement. Check the total number of working years you have on record. If you're planning on an early retirement and have fewer than 35 years of substantial earnings, have your financial planner calculate the exact dollar impact those 0 years will have on your lifetime cash flow. I challenge you to take one idea from today's show and put it into practice this week to make your retirement even better. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, you've done the hard work of savings. Now, let's do the smart work of planning. Until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon. Enjoy the adventure. You are go for retirement.
Mission complete, Houston. After serving the world for over 30 years, the space shuttle's earned its place in history and it's come to a final stop.
We copy your will stop, and we'll take this opportunity to congratulate you, Atlantis, as well as the thousands of passionate individuals across this great spacefaring nation.
We thank the National Aeronautics and Space Administration for providing the radio communications between the Space Shuttle astronauts and the flight controllers. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not specific tax, legal, or investment advice. Before considering acting on anything you hear in this show, first consult with your own tax, legal, or financial advisor.